What would it be without a dirty river crossing? Hey guys, welcome to Wild Hope Homestead. We're carrying on our South Island holiday vlog series. This time we're just leaving Fairlie and heading further south or southwest through the Mackenzie district towards Lake Tekapo, Lake Pukaki and Twizel. As we drove out of Fairlie, the rain started to clear, although it was still quite windy. We stopped at Burke's Pass, which is not too far from Fairlie. Somewhere I always must stop because there are fun old vintage buildings and vehicle memorabilia, petrol pumps, old vehicles and signs and lots of interesting bits and pieces to look at, as well as the shop, which has, well, all sorts of things that I would like to buy but they're just fun to look at. Cast iron hooks and tin signs, leather goods and all sorts of bits and pieces. Then we carried on driving to Lake Tekapo. Lake Tekapo is beautiful, but it was very windy and very cold. It did not feel like summer at all. We were not dressed quite appropriately, but we stayed there a little while to enjoy looking at the lake and the famous old church of the Good Shepherd. Then we carried on driving to Lake Pukaki. We stopped at the lake for a little bit. And then carried on to Twizel, where we were staying with my auntie and uncle for a few nights. The next day we drove up to Mount Cook village. It takes quite a while to drive up there, but it is one of the, if not the best, scenic road to travel on in New Zealand. It was just stunning. And there are multiple places where you can stop along the way, go down to the lake or look out across the lake at the mountains surrounding it. Twizel in the whole Mackenzie district makes me lose my words. I can scarce describe it, let alone describe how it makes me feel.
pretty sure that's Mount Cook over there. I'm just peeking.
Yeah.
Just peeking.
Up in Mount Cook Village, we went into the visitor centre, which is one of the best visitor centres around. It had a whole little museum in there with plenty of interesting things to look at for us and the kids. No, they're not alive anymore.
Around 1,000 times more powerful than human.
I was quite fascinated about the feral cats. I didn't know that they were such a thing in this area and that they had become their own kind of subspecies, which are actually bigger than normal domestic cats. And they can travel really long distances, so I find that fascinating. But they're obviously doing a lot of damage to our native birds. There are multiple treks you can do around Mount Cook. Some ones in the bush and ones towards the mountains. We did part of the Hooker Valley trek. Steve and Angus started off by taking a Steve route. If you go anywhere with Steve, you will no doubt end up taking at least one Steve route.
200 litres.
Necessarily want to be here.
Our goal was just to get to the first bridge with little Scarlett walking.
So Scarlett basically made it to the bridge, as you can see it.
We got to the lookout above the first bridge, and that was enough for her, so we were happy with that. There are even more beautiful views if you can go further, but there was a beautiful short walk for a small person anyway. No.
Who knows, maybe it's a prom.
At any rate, what would it be without a bitty river crossing? And then we drove back to Twizel, back along the wonderful road again. Thanks for joining us in today's vlog, guys. Choose to grow hope, and we'll see you next time. Bye.